Apprehension. Christopher Ellis, aged 9, sat in his grandfather's living room with the television on. This was his favourite time of the week, because Grandad Bob let him watch Lee Evans. Christopher was fascinated by his stage presence and energy, and could laugh for hours on end as he danced around the stage like a performing monkey. 15 years later, Christopher felt sweat running down his cheeks, but not from the long and tedious bike journey from his small flat in Manchester. He was perspirating with anticipation as to where he was going and what he would do. The comedy club on Greengate Square was old and heavy. The room seemed tired with years of laughter built into its foundations. The club had a few regulars: Henry from the Docks, who played three-card brag every Wednesday night, Paul from the King Prawn Chip Shop on Angel Road, and Pete, who couldn't remember his own name most evenings, but the club's laughter kept him alive. Christopher knew his grandad would have come as he pulled his bike up outside. This kept him calm. He opened the out-of-use fire exit and went in through the back. He saw Simon stood behind the curtain, who greeted him warmly, with a handshake and a smile that was missing too many teeth. Simon gave Christopher instructions and reassurance, but Christopher couldn't piece together the words. He got into position and shut his eyes. Christopher glared into the smoky abyss of the club's audience, trying to see through the stage lights that were turned up too high. Christopher stopped breathing. Sat at the back, on a three-legged stool, was the man himself, staring back at Christopher. His dreams and nightmares became true within one instant. Lee Evans sipped his warm beer, waiting. Christopher tried to remember what a joke was. Then Christopher tried to remember what words were. Christopher started breathing again. I cycled here. How was that funny, he thought. What the hell am I saying? Last week, I went outside and someone had sprayed it green. Pete chuckled, but Pete always chuckled. Then Christopher discovered silence, and how inappropriate and uncomfortable it was at this moment in time. He tried to remember his script, his endless hours perfecting punchlines, but he felt like anything he said or move he made from this point onward would provoke disapproval. Christopher watched as his idol shook his head, left his drink barely touched, stood and walked out the door and out of the establishment. He dropped the microphone. Christopher opened his eyes and stared at the black curtain in front of him. And please welcome Christopher Ellis. So that was my short story. We had to practice that in class when we're making our short film. It will help us to write a script from it and storyboard and that sort of things. The feedback I got from my short story was good character information, good description, good Freytag's triangle. If I was thinking about making it into a film, I'd have to use a made-up comedian because obviously I wouldn't have access to Lee Evans, and also to maybe think about camera work and editing more when I was writing it, from what was feasible and that sort of thing. I found this really useful because I think you can put in things like description where you can't put that in a script as much. So from using this, you can, when you're thinking about storyboarding and costumes and props and any other details, then you can look back at your story and see the description of the setting, for example, and finding appropriate locations, and how you can talk to your actors and how you've described that they react to something, and give them direction and stuff. I found this really useful, and I'll use it for my main short film. And yes, that was my story. Thank you.